All right, so we're back at it again. This is the Bodybuilding Unleashed podcast. Back again with Chris Kirchhoff, our good buddy Turner Riddle, and Stephanie Santamaria. What's up, y'all?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. We were just talking with Turner. I think we had that sort of conversation last week. We were talking about burgers, like In-N-Out Burger, all that stuff. But I think I told you that it was like, I think 12 years that I had an In-N-Out Burger. So I'm like, all right, there's one down the street. Let me see how it goes. And it was okay. It was better than I thought.
I think it's overrated.
Definitely overrated.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years since 2006 since I've had it.
Isn't that crazy? 2006 was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
That's when I graduated college 20 years ago. So I'm old.
Do y'all have a local burger spot in Montana?
Yeah, there's
Just don't say McDonald's or whatever you do.
no, it's only seasonal though because they're like June through September. It's called Burger Town,
Uh-huh.
and it's crazy though because when you go there, like they only keep it seasonal, so it's during like peak tourist season because we live like 30 minutes from the national park, so June through September, it's like the population like triples here from people that are like in for rentals to use the park and everything. So if you go there, there's never any like 40 people in line. Like it's crazy, but it is good. It's very good.
Oh.
When was the last time you guys ate McDonald's?
Yeah, Chris.
Mine was like 3 weeks ago. So I only do the breakfast. That's it.
Like a biscuit?
No, I'll do
Grill?
the sausage, egg and cheese McMuffins. And what a mistake it was. I don't think I'll ever eat there like ever again.
You
I think I'm
said-
on like year 15. Probably.
I'm gonna say it's been a long time since I've eaten McDonald's. I still hear people say like, I go get my, or I think I don't know which pro bodybuilder it was, but he was, one of the memes or something said like what his go-to is, and it was like 3 doubles and a fish and a large fry. And I'm thinking to myself, God, you couldn't pay me to eat that.
It's so bad. Hey, Turner, check your internet connection. You're
Is it
like
bad?
super fuzzy.
Hold on.
Okay. I was trying to figure out a way to fix it on my end.
I can't remember when I.
Oh shit, I'm not
Well,
on it.
I'll just keep talking about McDonald's and we guys figure this out.
Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Am I
The
better?
thing at those places, like you never
Oh, yeah.
feel like you never actually feel full when you leave there, and then you have a million digestive problems. I'm like, just like pizza, or an actual like restaurant that has a burger. I'm like, I feel like it's never worth. That's why I'm at, like I said, probably like year 15 without eating that stuff because, and I think I ate enough when we were in college to probably like balance out my entire life. So
For sure.
Yeah.
That was like the hangover cure in college is like
yeah.
2 single cheeseburgers and a diet Mountain Dew.
Yeah, and I don't get away with like eating a lot of stuff like that. My body it begs to store fat. So if I start slipping like that, things are gonna get out of control in a hurry.
Yeah, I don't know how people compare it though, like to like a quality burger from a restaurant. Like most of the time the patties are so thin, and I mean it doesn't even taste like real beef.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you were gonna eat 8 ounces of meat, hamburger meat, I feel like that would have to be like 16 of those patties.
Oh yeah. And
You
of
know what I
course, yeah, of course like most things, they just keep getting smaller and smaller. Like, the only thing that doesn't get smaller is Cheesecake Factory.
Except their
Cheesecake Factory.
cheesecake slices get smaller,
Yeah,
but the price
that's
goes
a
up.
that's a scam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I
like there's a McDonald's like conspiracy. Ever seen this where people like try to break it down? They're like, they claim that they sell this many burgers a day, but there's this many cows,
Oh
and
yeah.
the cows produce this much beef, and they're like, something's that odd up here, and it goes hand in hand with. I don't think that patty
Is
there's much
real
beef in there at all.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I would like to really know what percentage of that patty is actual beef,
Right. It
not
can't be much.
no.
It can't be much.
No. No. Anyhow. All
It's
right.
like the breakfast eggs though. I don't think they're much, the eggs actually.
Oh, it's probably the powdered eggs or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gotta be. Anyways,
Yeah.
All right. Little different topic. Okay. What sport or like what professional athlete do you think is the hardest sport and why? So is it like an NFL football player, a bodybuilder, an MMA fighter, a gymnastics like competitor, like an Olympic gymnastics? Um, CrossFit. CrossFit always thinks they have it hard.
Don't make me go on a CrossFit rant.
So, what's the hardest sport and why?
All right, I, I feel like I have an answer for this only because like I worked for probably a good like 8 years like as a profession as a strength and conditioning coach. Like I've worked with professional athletes, I've worked with college. I feel like my answer is going to be hockey, and I used to tell this is what I used to tell the hockey guys because it used to drive them crazy. Is it'd be like, you guys aren't athletes. You're the worst. You're the worst athletes I've ever seen, and they would get offended before I'd give them the reason why. Because you ever seen a hockey player try to play basketball? Like their vertical jump is like putting a sheet of paper under their feet. Like they literally can't get off the ground. If you put them on like a if you put them on a field and line them up like fastest skater to slowest, there's no rhyme or reason to how fast they can run. They look like they're almost like moving side to side when they run, almost like they're trying to skate. Like they have this weird like gait pattern when they run. They're just terrible at everything except hockey because you have to play the sport essentially from like 4 years old. When you're 4 years old, they lace you up, they put skates on you, and you start playing the sport. The sport is entirely skill based. This is where, like I said, I'm like, guys, if I tell you you're not an athlete, like, please don't take it as offense because I can reference again your vertical jump, how you guys run. You have no athletic ability whatsoever, but skating is a skill. Otherwise, you'd be able to just slap on skates and you've gone skating in your adult life, like you probably just you fall on the ice if you don't know how to do it. So it's a skill. Puck handling, passing, shooting, being accurate, they're all skills. So everyone's ever heard of a story of someone that they they were tall. I use the example of like everyone knows who Tim Duncan is. Tim Duncan, Hall of Fame basketball player. He started playing basketball at 16. He was actually on pace to be like an Olympic swimmer. And someone's like, "Yeah, it's not going to work. You're like 7 feet tall. Let's play basketball." 16 years old, Hall of Fame player. There's plenty of people that have played in the NFL that didn't even play football growing up. They were a college basketball player and then they ended up playing like tight end in the NFL because certain sports, basketball, football, you don't have to necessarily be great at the skills, but if you can jump, if you're fast, they can find a place for you. They can teach you how to catch a football. Basketball, there's plenty of guys that don't even handle the ball. They don't shoot it, they don't pass it, they don't dribble. Based on their athletic ability, they're a great defender, they're a great rebounder. Hockey never happened. You've never heard of anyone like going pro that
18.
picked up the sport at 18. They play from 4 years old because it takes you 2 decades to learn the skills to become good at the skills. And there's no one out on the ice that's just randomly out there. They have to be incredibly talented at those skills, or they wouldn't be out there.
Yeah, that's a
Interesting.
good one. Definitely a good one.
Um, I'm not going to be the one to say I think bodybuilding is the hardest. I do think that the around the clockness of bodybuilding is the hard part that nobody realizes, and how long it takes you to build a quality physique. That's different for everyone, but I'm sure there's something out there. There's a lot of sports that are seasonal,
Hmm.
um, and but I don't know. I would never think that hockey is that one, but it does make sense because when you go watch them play and they're skating backwards, like trying to not fall down and then catch a pass and then pass it and all that, because I've been skating.
Mhm.
I used to skate all the time, so I know how hard skating is, but I've never not on ice with a hockey, with a bunch of guys trying to kill me. I wouldn't say basketball or football, but because I agree with like you said, like there's a lot of guys that are 6'4", that they just transition into some new position that
Yeah.
they've never played before.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm sure MMA is way harder than it looks. You know, they think then I'm sure they say, you know, their weight cut and all that, which we could argue that with bodybuilding too. But when you have someone that's trying to beat the brakes off of you at the same time and you're trying to defend that and do the same thing to them, that's pretty tough. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Com, com,
wrestled. I wrestled in high school and should have wrestled in college, and that was it's hard because it's all you. It's like kind of like MMA and bodybuilding, and that's why I've always said that wrestlers transition very well into bodybuilders because um, it's all on you. Whatever you practice and you put in is what you'll get out, and if you don't, it shows. Um, but I don't know. What do you got?
I mean, just off the top of my head, one of my favorite movies is Eddie the Eagle.
Never seen it.
It's Kirchhoff. You've probably seen it, right?
I have not.
Okay, this is a
Maybe
must.
triathlon.
This is a must watch for you guys. So Eddie the Eagle, it's about Olympic ski jumping. So one of my all time favorite movies. Incredible story. It's got Hugh Jackman. It's a must watch. But you know, and you kind of go through like you watch him through the training, like the setbacks and all this. And I'm like, if I think of an Olympic ski jump, it's like while you're practicing, you're going down like this massive hill. Like it's already just terrifying going down this thing. And it's like, imagine practicing and it's like, all right, one wrong move on the land and you're
Done.
demolished. Your leg is demolished. So then it's like, all right, you just broke your leg on, you know, your third day of practice. Now you got to recover for 6 months. Now you're supposed to go down this thing again after your leg just snapped in two.
Right.
You'll have to see the movie to like to kind
You,
of feel it. But
do you
it's
think
like,
it's yeah, that's I want to watch it. I think it's interesting, and I told my wife this because our daughter's figure skate, and we're like a week away, maybe less now from the Olympics starting. And I'm like, has anyone heard anything? I think it's weird. It's like usually there's like a lot of like
Lead up.
yeah,
leading up to it, and I'm like, does anyone even know this is like about to start? But I feel like Olympic sports are interesting because you train for 4 years for something that it's like bodybuilding. You know like a couple weeks out, like if you're in shape or not. Like if you're there. Where like these people, it's like you might be all the way there, and then something just happens. Like you see a skier that crashes, or I don't know. Since we're going into like winter, where it's like they do like the speed skating, it's like you could get into somebody could bump into you and there could be like a wreck where people just fall over and like your whole hopes and dreams are just shattered by some just anomaly. Then you got to wait another 4 years. Not to mention you have to survive like the Olympic trials to get there. Like that's a lot of time to stay the course of your training and diet and all the things that you do to be, like a high level athlete like that for like one moment.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
I wish I knew. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, I was saying that you guys know track and field. It's still my favorite sport. You know, like we watch it and all that stuff, and like kind of like what Kirchhoff was saying. You know, I got into bodybuilding because I was a huge fan of Michael Johnson. You know, the sprinter.
Yeah.
So I read his book and all this stuff, and he'll talk about where it's like what Kirchhoff was saying is like you peak just like in any sport, like just you peak in bodybuilding, you peak in track and field. So towards the end of the season, you would peak, but it's like if it's not that Olympic year, guess what? You have 3 more years, and that peak of where like the fastest you'll ever run in your life was. I'm sorry, you're 3 years too late.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
the world championships every year. So yeah, you can win a world championships. There's good money, but it's like everyone wants the gold medal, you
Yeah.
know?
Let me give you a couple stories from the flip side because I think it's funny that like in America we propel these like kind of four or so like major sports up there, and it's like these people aren't even they're not even they don't even work hard like for the most part. You have no like you know what I mean? Like I've been around like I worked with the Cincinnati Bengals for a short stint. That's how I ended up at West Side because it was in Ohio, and I remember being in the gym and they were doing like summer workouts, and there was I can't remember what his name was, but he played cornerback. He's probably like 6 feet tall, like 190. Dude was just absolutely shredded. Never touched a weight. Literally never did anything. He'd come in the gym in like flip flops, and just he was like the class clown. And he was just an unbelievable football player. I asked him once. I was like, "Are you gonna like work out today?" And he looked at me like you. And again, like class clown. But the look on his face when I asked him that, he went to the most serious face he'd ever made probably in his life and said, "All I have to do is show up on Sunday." And I was just like, I got you, I got you. Like you're just so talented. I get it. It's like these guys that play like offensive line. They're like 6'7", 350. They could beat me in a 40-yard dash. I've watched these guys jump onto a 50-inch box and land on it without making a sound. You know what I mean? Their hands, you should shake their hand, and their hand just like swallows yours. Like they're. It's like it's like seeing, when you hear like Cutler or somebody talking about seeing Lee Priest at 16 or seeing Coleman at 20. Like there's just they're outliers. Like these people, most of the players that are in the NFL, the NBA, they're just an outlier for just ungodly athletic, potential or whatever gifts, are great for the sport. And most of them haven't even really worked that hard for it.
That's what I was gonna say. I wish I knew what percentage of like top end athletes actually ate regimented, because I'm sure there's a ton of football players and a ton of basketball players that like, they just eat pizza or bar
Hmm.
food or whatever. And you hear like Conor McGregor did a movie and he had like a chef. Obviously, he could afford that, and so he was eating right leading into one of his fights. And you heard about J.J. Watt when he was playing football that he ate like 10,000 calories a day, and it wasn't just junk. But that's the one part about bodybuilding that I don't know. I don't know about hockey. I don't know if those guys take their nutrition extremely serious. But I would be interested to know how many outliers were just you know eating McDonald's for breakfast and
I've seen guys that just eat candy all day long. Literally, they
yeah.
just eat crap, and their body looks like you'd think they were on the most like strict plan ever. I'm like, you ate a gram of protein in like a year? Because this is crazy.
I heard that about DK Metcalf. Like he
There's a
just
lot of them.
loves
No, there's a lot of them. There's Marshawn Lynch played for the Seahawks. He was notorious.
Skittles.
He on the sidelines. He'd be eating candy. Like these
Yeah.
guys, they a lot of them. Yeah, there's no like rhyme or reason to anything they do, and you'd look at them like it just doesn't. It just baffles you.
You guys have probably seen that on Instagram somewhere. It's become popular the last few years. So Usain Bolt, obviously, one of the greatest, if not the greatest sprinter to this day, right? And there's like a meme or a little, picture that shows, when he was at the Beijing Olympics where he broke the 100. His diet consisted of chicken nuggets from McDonald's. And like all of us on here can think about that. Yes, we're a little biased because we're bodybuilders, right? But when I was in track and field, I was like watching, I was already like, I had kind of already gotten that sense of like eating clean and like the bodybuilding diet. So I can't imagine going into the Olympics and wanting to create a legacy, break a world record, and this is the shit I'm going to eat before my race. But like you guys were saying, like it doesn't even matter with the genetics, right?
Somebody like him, you just won't ever see that again. I mean, it still irks me that the race where he lets up at the end, because it's like, would you really run there? You know what I mean? I feel like people have tried to figure it out, but it's like you let up in like the last 10 meters and still just destroyed the world record. Like you'll never see somebody like that again. Probably
Yeah,
not in our lifetime.
right.
I
Crazy.
just wonder how much better they would be if they did eat.
He-
Oh,
here's another one. Like this is where it's like certain athletes, like, and you'll hear about it with like Olympic athletes because they get like their physiology studied more than like an NFL player, basketball player. I feel like Chris, we were talking about this because I loved the Lance Armstrong documentary.
hmm.
Well, Lance has spent enough time in the physiology lab where it was the same with Michael Phelps, like your all time. I feel like he's not just swimming; he's like the all time medal holder, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of them, their lactate threshold is like in the point like 0.001%, meaning it's like bodybuilding related would be like you put them on a leg extension and be like do 100 reps. They don't even feel it. There's no burn, there's no pain because it's literally clearing faster than it can accumulate. So imagine you're in the Tour de France and he would always dominate like the hill stages going up, up a mountain hill and guys' legs are burning. He's not even feeling that. You know what I mean? Like imagine being able to sprint or swim at full speed. Well, what slows you down? Where does your top speed start to come down? Because your lactic acid starts to accumulate. And these guys, they just clear it faster than they can even build it. So the advantages that they have genetically are just, it's just elite. I would assume that Usain Bolt's probably on that level.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
What do you
I
think?
watched the Lance Armstrong on Joe Rogan, and Joe was asking him, you know, about all that, and he was like, "We tried everything, like everything. You just heard about the steroids. You know what I mean?" And which is cool because as bodybuilders, we've pretty much tried everything. You know what I mean? Whether it's a supplement, a food, a cardio, a high rep, a low rep. So I like to listen. One of my favorite things to do is listen to like other top athletes talk about the things that they did that put them in a place to to be a world champion. Whether it's Kobe would practice 3 times a day. He would wake up. Like one thing he would do is like he had a helicopter, and he would wake up in the morning, helicopter down to practice, helicopter back, take his kid to school, helicopter back, come back home, helicopter back, and practice 3 times a day. I mean, in LA, so traffic's crazy, but it's just crazy that to be able to hear someone else that took it as far as we take it. And I mean, you're a pro, Chris, but like there's a lot of us that have taken it so far that never even got close to being a pro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that Kobe story, man. I read his book,
Yeah.
and I knew you were gonna say it. The practice before the practice. It's like, who's doing that? You know?
I can't remember who it was, but somebody was like, they they had gotten into the gym somewhere, and it was like they
Yep.
got in there at like 5 or 8 a.m. or whatever, and Kobe was already just like drenched in sweat. And this guy, did his whole workout, his whole routine, tons of shots, and Kobe was still in there. When he still hadn't left, was in there long before him, stayed long after. Like,
And he asked him. He did you catch that part where he asked him? He's like, "Hey, did you lock up? Did this camera lock
yeah,
up?"
mine.
Oh,
No,
okay.
he's good. He's
Sorry.
good.
I was
But
just like a robot. I'm just frozen.
to add to that, after the game, he asked him. He was like, "Kobe, why did you practice so long?" And he was like, "Because I." What did he say? He said something because I knew. I don't
Because
remember what he
he
said
saw me. Yeah, I saw that you were watching me, or you were in there. Yeah. He's
exactly. And
got
he's
some
like,
just amazing quotes. Like there's one where he talks about why wouldn't pass his teammates the ball. And it's like, well, why would I? They haven't put in the time that I've put in. Why would I pass them the ball?
exactly. If practice is at 7 o'clock and you show up at 7 o'clock and I've been there and I'm warmed up at 6:30, I was ready to go and you didn't show up till 7 o'clock. Why the fuck would I pass you the
Yeah,
ball?
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
him and Jordan, man. I love like The Last Dance.
I've watched it
yep.
twice. Yeah, yeah.
Gosh, I love that shit.
There were some just hilarious stories in that too, especially like once you get past the first three-peat and then they acquire Rodman, and then it just gets like like him disappearing to Vegas in the middle of the season, like just
Yeah,
hilarious stories.
yeah, man.
There's a guy on YouTube. His name's Graham Bensinger. You may know who he is, but anyway, he interviews like top end athletes, like we're talking about, and through that, he's asking them questions like we're having here on this podcast, and I've got several that I've posted over the years. I'll send them to you, but if you just type in Graham Bensinger on YouTube when we get off, and he's got several where he goes into depth with some of those people, and he's asking them like, what makes you want to do something like that, and they're just like, you know, that's where they have some way of saying, I just want to be the very best, and I'm willing to do whatever I have to do. And to them, it's not even like work; it's just what they want
Yeah.
to do.
I think you can apply that to a lot of things in life, though. Like, I make a lot of like Facebook content, and people will just be like baffled if I tell them like what time I get up or like what my day looks like, and they're like, how do you get it function on like that little sleep, or how do you? Because I want to, because I have things that like goals and things that I want to accomplish. Like, I'm sorry that if you feel like you just have no like drive in your life for anything, whether it's your health or your business or your family, but like Like, stay out of my way then. Like,
Let me
you
ask
know what I
you a
mean? Like, they
question.
start nitpicking what you do, and it's like they'll be like, I'm sure people will look at Kobe and be like, he does too much, it's too extreme, it's whatever. And it's like, he's a 5-time champion. He's arguably a top 5, probably greatest player of all time. Like you have no business mentioning that man's name in the same sentence as you. You know what I mean? Like, just because you want to feel more comfortable about the lameness of your life and the excuses that you have for yourself.
Yeah, you want to wake up at a certain time, hit the snooze, get some warm coffee before you start doing anything. There's people that are already like full steam running in the mornings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I used to post content like that on my Instagram all the time because I don't necessarily need motivation, but I feel like when I'm watching some of these things, it does motivate me. And if I put that out there, like there's someone else out there that's gonna get some spark from that. There's a lot of
yeah,
people that see that and they're like, ah, like you said, that's too much.
yeah.
Why would anyone want to train 3 times in a day? But man, I don't know. There's something about that just like makes the hair stand up on my neck when you hear someone talk about things like that.
Yeah.
I'll have to send you a couple of those that just like
Yeah, yeah, I want to see them. I feel like that's what it is. It's a low percent. Like the turnover rate is like you're going to get 3 people that criticize or whatever, but you're going to get one person that there maybe it lights the spark or it starts to change. Because I feel like for me, when I listen to people talk that are just like ruthless about their success or whatever it is that they do that's just vastly different from anybody else. Like, and this is the thing is like the vast majority of society, like they hate on those people. They look for the reason to dislike that person or to nitpick why they can't do what they do. And I'm like, those are the people that I've always been drawn to, because I'm like, what can I learn and what can I take away? But the more ruthless they say it, the more it actually affects me. Like, don't water it down. Just tell me, just tell me exactly like it is, and I'll learn and adapt from that.
absolutely. And you
You know,
rarely run across people like that, like a Nick Saban. When you listen to him talk about football, I said that like now that Tom Brady and Nick Saban are telecasting football, like people need to listen to that because they're talking about how they see the game. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like you guys want to be football players or football coaches or anything like that, but there's always little um like tidbits dropped along the way that you can take
Yeah.
and apply to the way you do things.
Yeah, like I know that like Chris, you don't really watch sports, but like, you'll send me clips all the time. You'll send me, here comes a Kobe clip, here comes a Jordan
mhm.
clip, here comes a LeBron clip. So I know it's like, I mean, as you high level people, whatever it is, you study people that are successful and whatever they are. It doesn't even matter if you're not. You become drawn to it in some way because you can take something away from it.
Yep,
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, and you know what it is like. Obviously, you guys know I've been in sales for a while, and like a lot of times they would have like the top guys, like the top one or two performers, give the routine, and you know what it is. You know why people don't want to hear it is because it's scary. Like when you think about it, when you listen to what they're doing, like we talk about levels, guys. So it's like when you're at this level and you're pretty good, or maybe you're above average, you're bringing in good money, or like you're winning overall titles at bodybuilding shows. But when you hear the things that those top level people are doing, you're like, man, that means I'm going to actually have to change even more.
Yep.
And that's the part that's really scary to people is that change is like, can they actually do it?
Yeah, it forces you to be aware and self-reflect. Am I doing am I everything that I say that I want to do, make this money, get that position, or whatever, be nominated for top sales. Like, wow, Chris is actually working in multiple time zones. He's getting up at this time and staying late for this time zone. Like, damn, I didn't know I was going to have to do that. You know what I mean? It makes people uncomfortable, and those are the people that usually hate, like you were saying, on the people that are willing to just be ruthless. And I fucking love that.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, I'll say this, and I know this you guys can resonate to this, but you're ever somewhere and you've got your food and or whatever it may be, you're just prepared, and
Mhm.
people say, oh man, I don't know how you do that. Like, I don't know how you just like pull out your food and eat it cold, and you didn't even have a spoon, so you just ate it with your hand or whatever. And they was like, I don't know how you could do that. And I would always not, I'm not trying to be cocky, but I would always just follow it up and be like, I would say it in a certain way to them. That way I just wouldn't piss them off. But in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I know. And, we could be just talking about Nancy, negative Nancy at work. It doesn't matter. She's not trying to win bodybuilding shows either. But in my mind, that's just how I do things and say things. But it's like, if the world were to ever come to a certain point to where I had to reach into my bag of tricks, I know that she's one person that I could check off the list that I'm beating. You know what I mean? I'm out running, I'm out living, I'm gonna beat in a fight or whatever. So it's like, yeah, bitch, you couldn't do this.
Yeah.
I think
It
that
just like that sits with me. That makes all the things that I'm doing in a day, not that I need that validation, but it just makes me feel good that it's like, I know you couldn't do this, and that's
yeah.
why I'm doing it. And that's why I have a smile on my face when I do it. And when I'm packing my lunch every day, that's why I fucking do it, because you can't do it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think you see it like, I mean, and it doesn't matter if you're at like it's like Thanksgiving or Christmas or family, whatever, but I feel like you see it a lot if you have a job and you went to like work where it's like, they see the Tupperware comes out and the same meals every day. And like when I work with people that are like trying to change their life and health, I always say, and I've written this in so many posts, I'm like, the day that you go on a diet, that is the day when you go into work that they're gonna be like, have a cookie, have a donut, like it's just one, it won't hurt you, live a little, whatever their slogan is, like, because people are on this like race to the bottom together, and like if they see you doing well and they're not doing well, like, and I feel like it's like a subconscious thing where they don't even realize they're doing it. But then they start offering, like I said, here's the cookie. They say they bring in whatever food, even though they know, even if they know you're a competitive bodybuilder, you're the most serious person ever. They haven't ever seen you deviate from these meals, and they'll still like offer it. And again, always have some kind of like catchphrase for why you can have this donut or this
Yeah.
slice of pizza that they brought in or whatever. And they just like like nothing's like clicking up there at all.
Yeah. I'll share one thing too, like when clients ask us, because it is new for a lot of people, just like a new job, a new sport. A lot of this stuff is new. So like people are trying to grasp all this stuff and like, how am I going to fit this into my schedule and my bodybuilding program or my weight loss program? And they'll ask, like they'll ask me and Stephanie, like, how do you guys travel like all year long to all these client shows? How are you guys going on these trips? And that's the thing. It's they're almost asking a question that they don't want to hear the answer to. So it's like every trip, she bags our meals. Everything is labeled to the ounce. We're not going to make all this food and not weigh it. Like we're going to finish the race. So every single thing we bring is weighed out in baggies. It's frozen. It's just like a routine. You could send us anywhere in the world and we're going to adapt and we're going to have our meals. Or if we don't have the meals, guess what? We're going to get them. And like it's such a hard concept to grasp to people where it's like, hey, some people travel for work 50 weeks out of the year. I've had clients that literally 50 out of the 52 weeks they
Yeah.
travel and they've been successful. But it's like those tiny little steps people don't want to do. And they're like Turner was saying, like, oh, I could never do that.
But they can. Like at the end of the day, anyone can pack a meal.
That's right.
I don't
Yeah.
care who you are. Like if you can eat and prepare dinner for yourself, like you can pack a meal. Or there's how much out there now, like of pre-made chicken breasts or something. Like you don't even have to cook it.
Yeah, I have
But
no tolerance to that. And I don't
like
even care.
it,
When they start that, I'm just like, whatever, let's move on. I got to go. And not to be rude, and I'm not rude about it, but I'm just like, you can't do that. And, that's why you work a basic job and you're 40 pounds overweight and you'll continue to get out of shape. You know what I mean? But there are people out there that like your mom. She's probably the sweetest person in the whole wide world and she doesn't care what she looks like. You know what I mean? Like my stepmom, she's like that. Like she's overweight, she doesn't care, she's not gonna watch her diet. That's just how she is. So
Hmm.
but that's just not me.
Yeah. I get, like the meal stuff, that's a different category like we were talking about. But like when I get to things, when I hear like you missed a workout, I'm like, that it doesn't even like compute. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you miss a workout? That's like the number one thing. Like you guys are all saying, like, that's the one thing that's the 1 hour that we just love out of every single day. So I'm like, how do you miss a workout?
I feel like this guy was talking to me about that today in the gym. Like I was finishing up the workout, and this guy that kind of always chats me up, he's like 50, and he's trying to get in better shape. And I'm giving him diet tips, and he's like, "Oh, well, whenever I, carbs get really low, calories get low, then I just don't have any motivation to, get in the gym." And I'm like, "Listen, I'm like, there's no like magic words I can say to you. You just do it. Like, then once you get in there, the blood starts to flow. Like you start to feel better. It's like, do I want to go and train legs on 30 grams of carbs? No, but here come 30 sets. Like, I mean, I don't know how to explain it to you other than like, you got to find it. You know what I mean? Like, and people look for this, like these magical words that they need to hear. And it's like, you got to find them for yourself. Like, I don't know what else know what else to really tell you.
Yeah, that motivation thing is like really big because I think that, like you were saying, they feel like the top level, top national level, or people that just look good, they think that automatically we're just always motivated, even, because we love training. But it's not always like that.
Or we don't like
No, I mean, today was a little like I got in there and it was like, you know, I sat down on the seated leg curl and I sat there for like 2 minutes, like, and then it just kind of like found me. I'm like, all right, let's go. And then we were locked in from there. And like, you have little things that you do. I don't listen to music anymore. It's another thing. Like I quit. I don't know why, but I quit putting headphones on, and I feel like I just I just zone out, which is funny because the other day I'm in the gym and this guy's like, "Oh man, I hate this lady." I'm like, "What lady?" He's like, "She's riding a recumbent bike with a chain over her neck." Which it's like, it's just kind of absurd. But the chain was making this rattle noise, and I hadn't heard it. She'd been going for like 20 minutes, and I hadn't heard, which of course, after he pointed it out, that's all I could hear was this like rattle sound afterwards. But it's like, point is that I was like so locked in, even without music. I had no idea. I had no idea, what this lady's doing. I usually just put like the hood up and keep my head down. But there's just, yeah, it really comes down to, I feel like, your own like mental game and finding how far you want to take things. Like,
I always think that's crazy too. Like, I don't know when we talked about it, but I always say like it's one of the the serial killer traits, that they put. And she was doing cardio, upwards of like 90 some minutes with no music at all. And I'm like,
no TV.
how do you do that?
yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, I feel like sometimes it's almost like time goes quicker. Like I don't even look at the clock. It just kind of like go into another place. And yeah.
Yeah.
But to what you're saying, 90 minutes of cardio, she's still there's probably 90 minutes where she wants to get off. You know what I mean? But she doesn't.
Hmm.
And those people that we're talking about, they can't even go to the gym to go get on to want to quit. They're just not going to do it. And I just don't
Hmm.
have any sympathy for that shit. Like
No,
Yeah.
I
I don't
I
want
think
my
that's kind of what I said.
go ahead.
he used
That's
to
kind of
kind
what I
of get
said
up.
to the guy too. I was like, get in the door. Like once you're here, like even if you leave and you're like, I mean, there's days you leave and like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe I left something in the tank on that set, but it's like 9 out of 10 people, they're going to talk themselves out of going. For the average person like that, you're going to talk yourself out of it somewhere in the morning. Just get there, get your foot in the door, and you've won half the battle right there.
That's right. Well,
Go.
Yeah,
It's like getting up to do fasted cardio. Like we wake up and it's literally like first step, we've made it, we're out of bed. Second step is we walk out the door, and by that point, like I've already won because I'm not turning around halfway, on my way to the gym. Oh, it's 5 a.m. I don't want to get on this elliptical right now. Like it's it. Get out of bed, get out the door. Battle's won.
he used to kind of get at me because I would tell him like when other women like would be like, I wish I could look like you. I don't take it as a compliment.
right.
It's not, because do you?
No, they're just trying to tear you down.
It's like, do you want to get up at 5 a.m. and do the cardio? Or do you want to pack your meals when you go on vacation? Like, everyone's capable of having like a healthy body
Yeah,
or being the best version of themselves. It's whether you do it or not.
yeah.
So, and he's like, no, Steph, it's a compliment. Like, they look up to you. And I'm like, but they have the ability themselves. Like, so it's almost, I don't know.
No, it's a backhanded compliment, and I personally love a backhanded compliment because that's me. That's them letting me know that like they can't do it, and I'm doing it, and I'm gonna keep doing it. So you know what I'm saying? Like must be nice, or I wish I could, do that, or whatever it is. Like, I fucking love it.
You must not like
Yeah.
sweets.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know
I
what?
wish I could I wish I could not eat
I have donuts
cookies.
tattooed on my body. Like I love sweets.
The people are like, well, I've got this just crazy sweet tooth, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. You know, I don't know what to tell you. Chew gum, but it's just simple. It's that fucking simple.
They act like you like we're never hungry or like
Yeah.
again like somebody asked me they were in the gym and they asked me about like they're like well when calories like oh, they're just like I can't reduce my calories like I'm just so hungry I need food and I look at him and I know Chris I've told you this story I love it it's my favorite line in the entire Avengers series it's when Banner shows up in the battle in New York and just everything's
Hmm.
going wrong and the huge like whatever thing is flying down and Captain's like Dr. Banner now would be a really good time for you to get angry. And he looks at him, he's like, that's my secret. I'm always angry. And so I told this guy, I'm like, I'm always hungry. It doesn't matter. Like 2,000 calories, 5,000, like I'm always hungry. Like I'm not any different than anybody else. Like one of the gyms is like, that I train at here is downwind from this like burger place. So every time you go in the parking lot walk, and I park my truck because it's massive in the back of the lot. I gotta walk across the whole lot, and it's just this burger smell like the whole time. It's like, yeah, do I want to go get this burger? Like, yeah, I'm not different, than anybody else. Like, I avoid the like when I walk through a bakery, I'm like, don't let me see that. But it's like, like you gotta willpower. Like, why are you people so weak?
That's right.
You must have
Hmm.
that obesity gene then.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Genetic.
that's it. It's
Genetic.
genetic. Yeah, yeah. Too much McDonald's.
Man.
Uh, I love it. Um,
What's
okay, kind of back to like hard sports or because we were talking about Turner, you were talking about having like the year-round diet and bodybuilders have that aspect. What do you think about like a ballerina? That came to mind as you were talking about that and how they have to stay tiny.
I don't know anything about ballerina.
From everything, I don't know a lot, but every movie I see, right? Like they have to like starve themselves. Like they have these massive eating disorders because they have to stay so small.
Yeah, that.
It
Same with like maybe a gymnast, do they have to stay somewhat smaller,
Hmm.
I,
like a female?
I was gonna
Or a
say.
figure skating?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Like I don't know a ton on figure skating, but that seems scary as shit to me.
I think the
Having
I think the gymnast. I'm sure that's way more difficult than it looks.
hmm Well, I think the mental part of it, like, at what day are you like? I think I'm gonna try a backflip on the beam, and hope I don't crack my head.
Well, no, but I
Like,
also think they do crack their head, and it's like just like anything. You know how we got like a bum shoulder and we work through it. Like I know several girls that um that did cheer, and then they did whatever it is. We just whatever the sport is you just called it a second ago. Gymnasts,
yeah,
like they fall, they tumble, and they just like mask the pain, whether it's jammed fingers, sprained ankles, or arms, or broken bones, whatever. And they just love it, and they sign up for that, and they just continue to push through it. And you don't ever see that. Just like when we go to the gym, we don't see the guy that's got a bum low back or a bad shoulder. He's just shoulder pressing the dumbbells like nothing's going on. You know what I mean?
hmm
I announce it when I hurt my quad. I got one plate on the tack squat
Yeah.
because I hurt myself, so I'm not weak.
You let everybody know.
I think mentally, some of those sports like the figure skating and gymnastics, or like he said, the ski
Yeah,
jumping,
the ski
like
jumping.
uh, that just seems so scary to me. But but then there's other aspects that are maybe easier than others too.
I think probably.
I got a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's a two-parter. What is one hard lesson you had to learn in life? And then what's a hard lesson you learned in bodybuilding?
Well, to start it
So two
off,
completely different.
I learned
Yeah.
everything the hard way. So I'll try to figure out which
Yeah.
one is the best, but I'm a touch the stove kind of guy after being told not to
Mhm.
touch the stove.
Oh my God. Oh man.
I think a hard lesson I can say a couple in bodybuilding, fat is not is not evil. Like for many years, I was zero fat. Just I mean, fat
Mhm.
from beef or your protein, but no egg yolks, no oils, no peanut butters. I did none of that. It was just straight carbs and protein. And then another one would be time off. We've all spoke on here enough that we all love to fucking train, whether it's 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, 2 times a day. I just love to fucking train. And so there's many years where I trained 7 days a week, years, 7 days a week. There's a lot of time where I train twice a day. And it'd be like, it might be chest in the morning, calves in the evening, or something like that. It wasn't like I never did like quads in the morning, hamstrings in the evening, but nonetheless, I train twice a day. And I think that's one of my biggest, that's one of the things that I wish if I could change and go back, I would have taken more days, more rest days. Because like I said, there's years where I took zero rest days. I just thought, well, I'm coaching and bodybuilding full time. I'm getting 10 hours of sleep. I'm eating around the clock. I'm napping during the day. Like I should be recovered. And
Yeah.
I was young and dumb. Like you couldn't tell me any other way. Like I'm
Mhm.
eating enough. So I would say those two for sure. Fat and recovery is one thing that I wish I would have considered a lot more.
Man,
Mhm.
those really like hit home for me because I feel like they're the two biggest things that have shifted me in this sport. And like, who do we just have on? Why am I blanking on his name, Chris?
Ken.
Brain
Yeah,
fart.
and he was good. He was close with Meadows, and Meadows had an
Andrew.
incredible amount of articles that he would put out. And I caught onto this when I was probably like 28 or 29, where he ate a very high fat diet. He was starting to push like the whole eggs, like
Mhm.
coconut oil, like grass fed beef. And I shifted my diet entirely. I started going to like Whole Foods, natural grocers, and just eating a much higher fat diet. And lo and behold, I started to get leaner. I mean, I just felt so much better, overall. And then the training side, like, man, there like it's so hard to not want to go in there every day. Like I've told you, I've done diets where I've trained every day. Literally 16 weeks, I lifted every day. And, now it's like I pretty much train on a schedule where like 1 week it's 4 days, but then the other week it's three. So it comes down to basically like it's like 14 workouts a month. It's less than half the days, which is like the lowest I've ever done, but I'm making more progress than I've ever made. And it's still tough. It's like off days where it's like I hate off days, but it's like, you know, the results don't lie. So ultimately, the metrics, whatever you use, I have to look at that, and they keep me at bay from like forcing workouts, and like I don't see it going any lower than where it's at now. Man, those are the two biggest things that have like shifted, my nutrition and training. But as for like an overall lesson, I feel like it's not. And now that I'm like getting back into competing, it's probably not being tied to like the outcome. Like I have to realize and I realized it early on, and it's like again, it's with any sport. You can't be bitter. Like again, I always say like I say the short person can't be mad that they're not good at basketball. It is what it is. Like if you're 5 feet tall, like you're not gonna play in the NBA. I'm 6'5". I'm like, am I gonna stand on the Olympia stage? Probably not. And that's not gonna deter how hard I train or what I do. It's just certain people are meant for certain things. But that what shifted now is that I used to almost have a small like it made me dislike the sport because I'm so competitive that I want to be good. I'm like I want to stand on the highest stage that I can and be recognized for how hard I work or whatever, but realizing that genetics and all these other factors are going to play a role, and that maybe I'm just not meant to be that, but it shouldn't change my outcome for how much I like the sport, how much I like the lifestyle and the training and adhering to my diet and even competing. You know what I mean? Like if I show up and I'm in shape, and I know I've done all that I could. I checked all the boxes, and I did all I could. Even if I finished in dead last, like, there's still something to be proud of there, knowing that certain people are just going to beat you. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the Olympics. You can train as hard as you want for 4 years, and you ain't going to beat Usain Bolt. Like, take your silver wherever you're going to finish, and just know that, like, you did the best that you could.
Yeah, 100%.
You got something to add to that, Chris?
You want to go? If not, I'll go. I know mine too.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll start with the bodybuilding one first because I feel like the life one is more important. So this would have been like 16 years ago, and we talk about it on the pod, like we're all honest with each other, because we want to better, we want to help better each other's lives and everything, and that's a real friend, right? So I had a buddy, and I think you guys would all agree that anyone who can turn pro is within that 5%, right? So I feel like genetic wise, I've always been in that 5%. It was just, how do I find my way to get to the pro card, right? How do I find a way to get to the top? So at the time, there was two things. It was kind of just, one, just being naive or just kind of like not checking all the boxes. And then two, it was just relying on my genetics. I just thought I was good enough to just roll into these local shows and win just on genetics. And like on the off season, I kind of just felt like all the people I knew, which it wasn't the right view, but all the people I knew were kind of doing like the Lee Priest diet where they're not measuring food. One or two meals were just kind of like just a shitty choice. It could be a couple chicken sandwiches from Wendy's, and I'd be like, well, there's 39 grams of protein. I'm covered. And I found out real quickly, and like my buddy was like, this is why you're not winning those shows that you should be winning. And it's like, once he told me that, like, it kind of hurt, but I also had to accept that he's right. This is why I haven't actually won a local show. And I'm like, why am I not winning? And it's like, it turned out that was why I wasn't winning, and then I went on to win like the next year.
And you did that for like
So-
10 years where you just ate crappy and didn't win?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I messed up on the prep side too.
He put his hand right on the stove.
I'm saying, damn, it wouldn't take me that long if I was losing and I was eating shitty. I would have to figure something out.
Yeah, and like I was just kind of justifying it. Well, I was like, no, like at least 3 or 4 of the meals, like I'm measuring, like these are clean foods, and like I would read every Flex magazine and everything, and I'm like, well, these guys are doing their cheat meals and everything. Like I could just get away with this, like.
Right.
And obviously I couldn't, because those guys were either had just as good genetics, if not better, and they were sticking to their plan off season, or they had worse genetics than me, but they were checking all the boxes. So that was a tough lesson, but obviously it helped me become a better bodybuilder. The life lesson, this was a while ago. So I was telemarketing, like you said. I was selling rare coins, and my boss at the time, he was doing the weekly pep talk, the morning pep talk and everything, and like I was making good money there and everything. I was doing pretty good. Obviously, I always wanted more. And he said something that still resonates with me to this day. And he wasn't really talking about me. He was mostly talking about like the shittier reps that just weren't getting their act together. And all they would do is come in and complain. The leads, right? And he said, you guys, you are making exactly what you're supposed to make. And I was like, huh. And at the time, so I was making $67 an hour. And I was like, this is pretty good for me. Like, I'm doing decent. I'm not even working full time. I'm the top sales rep. But that just hit me right in the heart. And I'm like, huh. I didn't like how it felt.
Yeah.
He was saying,
and I'm not,
go ahead.
like, I'm not talking about like the dad who gives away like a multi-million-dollar, car lot to the son. And it's like, no, that's just luck of the draw. Like, you're not supposed to be making millions because it was handed down to you.
Right.
But that forced me to level up, because I'm like, fuck this. I want to make over 100,000. Like, You know what I mean? I was like, I'm gonna check all the boxes, and like from there, my sales career just took off.
I got a question going back to your last one. Um, I was having this talk with a buddy of mine last night where you saying you ate three bodybuilder meals and then you ate two whatever meals, whatever. It doesn't matter what it was, but like
Yeah.
ever since you started eating the five meals that are 100% bodybuilding, and you have a you're an outlier too because of your health, but like to this day you can't I don't know about you guys, but like I for instance, I like some bad food. I like a slice of pizza here and there. I love sushi and I love a burger, but like every now and then I'll wake up and I'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna eat a cheeseburger today. I don't necessarily have like cheat days or set day where I'm
Mhm.
gonna eat a cheat meal. It's just kind of like however I feel. Because I enjoy knowing I get a lot of satisfaction knowing the meals that I'm eating are what I'm supposed to eat. Like if I'm gonna train, and this is what I was telling my buddy, like I don't know how many more years I'm gonna train, and I'm not saying I'm done or anything, but I'm like I just the way my brain is wired, I have to eat a certain way because I still want to train. Now, whenever that day comes where I just don't look forward to training, I can't see that being for a long time. Maybe then I'll just be like, hell, let's just have lasagna tonight. But I don't fucking want lasagna because that's not loaded with protein and the carbs that I need, and it's gonna make me feel like shit. So what I'm saying is when you, every single meal that you don't cook, do you look at that and think, is that enough protein? Is that too many carbs or is that too high in fat? Like, does that go through your mind?
Like when I was doing that stuff.
Well, I'm saying today, now that you know what you know about bodybuilding, you coach, you take this shit really serious, and you want to do it to the best of your ability. What I'm saying is, like for me, if I train today, I don't want to miss a meal. I don't want to substitute a hoagie sandwich for chicken and fucking rice. I'm not saying I wouldn't eat the chicken and rice and the hoagie sandwich, but like I
Mhm.
don't want to substitute Cheetos and a foot long for what I know would nourish my body because it would eat at me the rest of the day that I had a killer workout and I didn't fuel my body like I should. And I'm asking you, do you like does that go through your head or do you just like nah, don't worry about it?
Oh yeah. I mean, even to this day, where it's like, Kirchhoff knows I'm trying to like get over this. It's not a hip injury, but it's like a IT joint severe inflammation, right? Even to this day, it's like I'm not going to bed until all the macros are hit.
Right.
I don't care what has to happen. And some days, yeah, some days, especially now with work, when I'm working, there's no like set time because if I have a tour, it's not, hey, let me just eat this meal quick because my bodybuilding is more important than the tour, and then I'll get to the tour. No, it completely dictates the day, and I don't worry about it because I know once I'm done with work, I don't care what has to happen in meal 4 or 5. If it's 250 carbs in that meal, it's 70 grams of protein and 30 grams of fat. I'm gonna hit it no matter what before I go to bed.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
I suggest stopping at a store on the way home from the gym, he has to have a protein shake for this 20-minute stop.
Window.
He's been talking about this though with his new schedule and here to the plan. So
Yeah.
I got my life one, by the way. I'm ready when you guys are
Let's hear
ready.
it.
All right.
Go
I
ahead.
want to hear
And
it.
if
I
I
want to
get
hear
off
it.
track, if I somehow just go blank because I feel like I'm a little foggy today. I want to relate it back to now bodybuilding, but I was trying to come up with a title for it. I just couldn't come up with any. But as we know, like life just isn't fair at all. I always felt like I was a smart person. I'm like, I see through a lot of things. I just feel like I know a lot about a lot of different things, and I feel like I spun my wheels like forever. I'm like, I did this career, then I did that career, and then all of a sudden you get to be like 30, and you're like, wow, I don't have anything. I don't own anything. I don't have anything. I'm pretty much like paycheck to paycheck, if even that. I've got debt. Like where has like things gone wrong? And this is where like it's when I started to like pay attention to successful people. And like, social media was kind of starting to like really, this is probably like age 30 for me. I'm 43 now. So social media was starting to really become like utilized. This is where I say like people waste so much time, like with so much time. And like I get it, like the algorithm, they've got everyone under this little spell where you're just scrolling and watching stupid stuff. But it's like if you actually apply yourself and use these platforms appropriately, the amount of knowledge that you can have. Like I'm going on a tangent now, but like I have an Instagram page that like I don't post on it, but it's like a financial page, and all it does is follow like successful financial people, and then the algorithm just feeds me that, and I've learned how to invest money and do all this stuff just from that. And then it's like I have like a bodybuilding page or a health page, and I have all these pages that where you just follow people. And I remember I was listening to he's probably my favorite motivational speaker. You ever listen to Eric Thomas?
Yep.
And so Eric has a whole spiel because he was homeless forever and like dropped out of high school, and he had this whole thing where like he gets up at 4 a.m. and he's like, you don't have to be the smartest person, you don't have to be the most talented, but if you can get to the spot. I just wrote a Facebook post on this. If you can get to the spot before other people, you can beat them. You know what I mean? Like if the person that's way smarter than you is getting up at 8 and you get up at 4, like the amount of time and the advantage that you can make up in your day. And I always felt like I had to make this shift where I'm like, all right, something's not clicking if if I'm relying on trying to be intelligent about things. Maybe I just need to work harder than everybody else. And so at the time, like I had a job and I started to formulate this vision that I could do things online, product sales, services and stuff. And so I started to get up extremely early. It was like I'd go to sleep at like 12. I'd get up at like 4:35. And I remember I went like an entire year where I never slept more than 5 hours a night. And all I would do is get up. And I still adhere to this routine now where like people will be baffled when I say I run like a dozen different social media pages and I post, a ton of content. And they'd be like, you just live on these platforms. I'm like, no, no, between 5 and 7 a.m., I crank out more content than most people can do in a month. And then you saw me come on Facebook at 8 a.m., noon, 4 p.m., and 8 p.m., and I dropped a post. You think, oh, he just lives on there. No, I spent 5 minutes on there, but I created all the content while you were still sleeping. And so I started to just outwork everybody and outlast everybody at night. So I'd do all that in the morning. Then I'd train. I'd go to work. I'd come home. I'd create more content. I'd study more. And like the more that it worked, the harder I went. The more that I'd create. And I always say like this is where people that struggle in life don't realize how momentum spirals. And it's like if you're negative all the time and you do things wrong, like very much you'll start to spiral the drain, but you can spiral upward.
That's right.
In a hurry. And like when people say you can turn your life around in like one dedicated year, like people could radically change their health, their finances, like their entire life if they truly wanted to. And so I've applied that, and now I feel like one of my things that I always say to people is like the receipts are here now. Like, you know what I mean? When I talk about things like you can't knock me. You can't, like, I see a lot of people that they just talk in theory about, books they've read or things they've watched. And then I'm like, well, I'll present to you my physique. I will present to you my bank account, where I live, how I live my life. And the receipts can't be denied at this point that I know what I'm talking about. And so now, like with bodybuilding, I had transitioned to powerlifting, and then I had all these injuries, and then we kind of Christian, remember I started training again probably like 3-4 years ago, and we get serious. I do a diet for for fun. We cut down to kind of reset, and now I have all these new goals, and in my mind I'm like, well, the playing field starts to get level because now there's masters divisions. People start to fade, and I feel like I've taken such good care of myself that I'm like, maybe I can just outlast everybody. Maybe I can stand on a national stage. I don't know if it's 43 right now in the 40 class, if it's 45, if I have to wait till 50. Because I watch guys train, like tying in all the things we've talked about lately. It's like when we were talking about why do people's legs fade? Why do their backs fade? Because they can't deadlift, they can't barbell row, they can't do any heavy. Their leg workout is now leg press and leg extension. I watch older people. I watch people that are competitors that are my age, 40, let's say 40 to 50 in the gym, and I watch their workouts, and their chest workout is just machines. Their tricep workout is like these broken push downs because they got elbow issues. They can't overhead press. Their leg workout is what I said. I'm still we still got 6, 7 plates on the hack squat. We're still, you know what I mean? I mean, like we're still doing 140s on incline dumbbell. There's not a movement that's restricted. I still do skull crushers. So I've taken care of myself. Nothing's fading. In fact, we are spiraling upward. We are still getting bigger. We're still getting leaner each diet. And maybe I can just outwork and outlast everyone and not have not retire at the end of the day. But well, I just wasn't good at the sport because I was tall, and walk away no matter what and say like I did everything that I absolutely could.
That's good.
Yeah, 100%.
Look, I want to add something to that, and I think that there's several things I want to add to that because all that was great shit. And the bad part about this is like there's a lot of people that'll watch this that at 20 minutes they'll stop watching it because we were talking about McDonald's and they'll be like, oh, they didn't talk about nothing. But like this is the meat and potatoes of the good shit that people need to hear and people need to listen to. But like there's one thing from high earners, high achievers that I always take away, and it's non-negotiables. Whether it's you wake up at a certain time and you go to bed at a certain time, you don't have your phone for an hour a day, you make your bed, you iron your clothes. I don't know. Everyone's got their non-negotiables. You do, we all do. um, and I think that when you start setting non-negotiables, that's when you start weeding out the people that aren't ever going to pour gasoline on your fire. And not like there's a lot of people like it sounds like yourself that you don't need anyone to pour gasoline on your fire. But every now and then, when they do pour gasoline on your fire, it just burns hotter. And so another thing I wanted to add to what you're saying is, for me, my parents, I'm not going to say they didn't set me up financially because my parents had nothing really, paycheck to paycheck. And so I saw that growing up and I knew I didn't want to live like that. Like just just paycheck to paycheck. So just imagine that. And um my dad made me write book reports on Dave Ramsey books because my dad, they had credit card debt, and so there was a time when my dad started making a lot more money, and they lived by the Dave Ramsey code. Pay your debt off, beans and rice, rice and beans. I don't know if you guys know about that, but anyways,
Yeah.
I've written book reports on all that stuff, and book reports that shows you how old we are. But the one thing that like I don't know, like bodybuilding for me, like I said, I wrestled and then I transitioned over into bodybuilding. Like discipline has always been because as a kid, not that I didn't have discipline, I was just hard headed as shit. So like I needed discipline. That's what like has put me on the straight and narrow. And so if I could if I could if I could say, hey, look, I'm not gonna spend that money today, I don't need to eat a cheeseburger today. And it just kind of went hand in hand for me for well up until now. I'm 36, and so I started bodybuilding at like 19ish, 19 or 18, whatever. And that's why the diet was never hard for me because if I didn't go to this place, I didn't go to a movie, and I didn't buy these shoes, like your bank account starts going up because that's just how it works. It compounds. And so when I saw that with food too, if I don't eat this and I eat what I'm supposed to, I get better and better and better. It's just always compounded like that for me. And so the food has never been a big issue. Um, there was something else I was going to say to add to what you were saying, but all that is great. And I love that because that's what people need. Everything that you
Mm.
said. And so I just wanted to add, there was something else I wanted to add, but I went brain dead talking about those last two.
What about you? Do you have yours yet?
Hard lessons,
Bodybuilding in life.
bodybuilding. I think it was a hard lesson for me to learn to actually give myself some grace, and not be so hard on myself. So even things like, oh, no fats, all right, or no carbs, don't put on body fat, or um, not being able to like enjoy like an off season and be somewhat normal if it wasn't just like that one meal a week. that that was in the plan. It took me time to learn what everyone calls balance, I guess. Even though I hate that people preach that. But it took me a long time to learn that I was stressing myself out more by being super hard on myself or super strict on myself.
Life lesson.
Life lesson.
And we'll wrap up.
The good you see in people those people aren't always going to treat you good. You may see potential in someone. It doesn't mean people are going to live to that potential and be the person you hope they would be. Or just because you treated them well doesn't mean they're going to treat you well. So I think people aren't always great. So just kind of keeping boundaries better.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Which I think as we get older, a lot of us do.
Man, this one has been awesome. This is a great chat, y'all.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It always is.
I know, every time.
This is the part about podcasts that I hate the most is like, all right, we're on here for a minute or an hour and 11 minutes. And not that any of this wasn't good, but like, if there was something to be taken from this podcast, it was the last 20 minutes. And that's the hard part about podcasts is like, you'll get on here and you're so motivated to watch your favorite bodybuilder and whoever, whatever they're doing. It doesn't matter. And then like, you just have that like low period where it's like, oh, okay, they're talking about McDonald's. Okay, yeah, whatever. But like, if they'll just stick it out and watch the whole thing, like for me, I always have a podcast going on, whether I'm driving down the road, I'm eating food, and it's rarely bodybuilding because not that I know everything about bodybuilding, I feel like I've just heard it all a million times. So, like what he was saying, there's so much content out there, and used to be they used to say, or it's still said, but it's like judge a man by how big his library is, not how big his TV is. But nowadays, if you can get on YouTube and take in a book every day of every as often as you want to watch it, and for me, that's like YouTube. I've learned more about bodybuilding from my early years of bodybuilding. I learned more about bodybuilding by just watching the pros. And I don't mean you remember the videos of like Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler and Road to the Olympias where they're just sitting there eating or they're training. Like I learned more about bodybuilding through that than I ever did reading a book or hiring a coach. I just watched what they were doing. And I feel like nowadays nobody wants to do any of that. They don't want to. They damn sure don't want to read any books. I don't know about you guys. I hate to read, but it's one of those non-negotiables. I force myself to do some of those things. Um, but it's like, hey, just make me a plan and tell me what I got to do and why has it got to cost so much? You know what I mean? But I don't know. I wish, and that's the great part about when you edit your videos. Like you can take the 2 minute clip that's so great, but it's like I was saying earlier about the Kobe Bryants and things like that. If you watch enough of their content, they drop little tidbits along the way. And like I've watched so many things. There's another one you guys should watch. It's called Free Solo. Have you guys ever seen that?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You've seen
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
I liked that video, but I'll send you some, Chris, that you should watch. As far as just like it may have nothing to do with bodybuilding, but when you can take away their message, like everything, you can apply everything to bodybuilding or finances or whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting when we talk about the tidbits thing because Chris, what have I been saying about Instagram? So Turn doesn't know this story. So I started this Instagram that I had. Only it's one of them. It was a private page that was just for like buying and like meeting, collecting like gym equipment because I was trying to build my gym and there's a lot of people that have good stuff. So I had like 400 people on there, and I'm like, I'll just use it for that. And it was private. Well, then I'm like, I evolved because I'm like, I'm starting this new business. I need this page to be like a sub brand for it. I need the Instagram to grow in like 2026. Facebook's like radically, or Meta has altered like how Instagram works. Like they've completely changed everything for how it's supposed to grow. So I'm like, all right, I got to learn this from somebody. So I reach out to somebody that's doing like a course, and they want on the spot. I go through like 2 Zoom calls that are like an hour long. Then they like on the spot send me the link. They're like, it's $6,000 to work with us for the month. I'm like, fuck that. I'll figure this out on my own. So I literally research. I find like 20 of these people that sell courses. Well, in order to sell a course, you have to at least give away a nugget of truth. So I start following them all. Well, between all of them, I'm like, there ain't that many keys to the kingdom here to how to build an Instagram page. So between all of them, I have unlocked pretty much what I believe is all of their secrets. And in 3 weeks, I went from 400 people to like we're at like 8,500 this morning. And every time I open it, there's 10 or 20, new people that follow. I'm like, okay, screw your $6,000. Like, I'll figure this out on my own.
Well, I mean, now you can start your own and you could charge $6,000. You know what I mean? That's all.
Yeah,
That's all those people did. It's no
Yeah.
different than bodybuilding coaching. You
yeah,
you hire Chris to prep you. Fuck, next year you should be able to prep people too, right?
yeah.
No, I'm joking, but
Well,
that's kind of how that's
well,
how it's turned out.
I kicked around the idea only because like my Facebook page already has like 118,000 or something like that. I've just never really utilized Instagram. That was why I was looking for somebody to teach me Instagram. But now that I figured it out, I actually am like, no, I actually think I can. I'll teach both platforms to people for a discounted rate because it's really simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris, where can people go? We got to drop the brand, the link.
What's that?
Where can people go, like your pages? Because obviously you're coming out with the.
We haven't dropped anything. I don't really want to over promote it because like the main page that's like there'll be like apparel, outdoor, gear, stuff like that. Like we're so like we have everything aligned. It's just like now to actually get products made like from the textile manufacturer and everything, it's going to be a few months.
Mhm.
But once I get that, then things will move quickly because the barbells and backcountry page is a sub brand of that. But like I'm gonna run a podcast through that page, and I'll start like tailoring the content very specific for the brand once I get closer to launching. But I'm not really promoting anything right now because I don't want to leave people in limbo for too long.
Mm.
But I
True.
just right now I saw the need to start to get the page to grow.
Yeah. Once you guys are out, then we'll drop the link and get everyone some flannels. But yeah, this has been great, guys. We'll have some more topics for next time. Listener questions.
Next time I'll try to